let's go off to our. So I want to finish up with Kansas City, but I want to go to next to the Bears at Packers, and this is one of the third lowest over/under game at 40.5 points. And the big issue here is temperature, right? A lot of forecasts out with temperatures in the teens during game time, so frigid conditions. I want to ask you guys a question here, and I want to. This is my weather trivia question. There's been a lot of games where Chicago has played Green Bay in history, and it's been cold. This has been touted as a frigid game at 17 degrees Fahrenheit. What do you think the coldest game in the history of the Bears versus Packers is?
With wind chill or standard temp?
Standard temperature, actual temperatures at kickoff.
-4 degrees.
Okay.
5 degrees.
It's kind of in between. I think Sean's a little closer. Is 2 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was close. You guys kind of went right in consensus. Would have had it. So yeah, 2 degrees Fahrenheit. These teams. There's been other games. 5 other games. The 5 coldest games here where these two teams have matched off. The temperatures were 11, 2 games at 10, 1 game at 3, and 1 game at 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so average total points scored in those games, right? You think cold weather. You think it's going to stop your production in for the overall total offense. What do you think the average total points scored in those games were, guys?
36.
The over-under for this game is what? 40, 41
40 and a
points?
half.
I would say around between 40 and 42.
Yeah, so it's actually 47 and a half.
Wow.
Right? So, you think the 5 coldest games ever with the total points of 47 and a half, it kind of goes against the standard way of thinking like, oh, cold weather is really going to significantly impact things. So there is a range, though. There's a distribution, right? So the lowest total points scored in those 5 games was 31. The highest was 68. And the most recent, which falls in there, the most recent game was 2016 in December. It was 57 total points. And
what was the weather temperature at the 57 points?
11 degrees.
So it's pretty close to 17.
Yeah, but the thing is, me and Sean talked about this, right?
I'm glad I was part of that conversation. They like to have conversations without me. They weather out a lot more than I can be part of these conversations.
Well, you're more important.
Learn to weather out, and you can be part of that combo.
Let me go back to college and get the degrees. Sure.
Well, you're a more important guy than us. You work later than us. So, we can look at some of this stuff. So
I don't think importance has anything to do with my job.
Okay. Well, no, I disagree. Anyway, let's get back to it. The most recent game was 57 point over under. The 57 total points. 11 degrees was the temperature. The Chicago defense wasn't as good as it is now. So there is a reason to bring it down.
Right. But we also have, though, the Thursday night game that was week 1. 7-10.
Yeah. And that was. So, things have a little bit shifted since then, but that was a 3-10 game. Chicago.
3-10. I thought 7-10. Sorry, guys.
No, it was 3-10. It was a Chicago loss. That's when, Trubisky's come to life over the last 3 games. He scored it was 19-14 against the Giants. I then think he scored 21. Oh, it was 24-20 against Detroit. That was the Thanksgiving Day game. And then last week, it was 31-24 against Dallas. So we're seeing a trend upwards in the offensive performance. So I see where Mike's coming from there and being a little bit hesitant with this low over under. As far as what about Aaron Rodgers? So the reason that if you look on our website, we have an unknown factor there is because we just don't have a large sample size for our players. The only kind of comparable player that we could throw in there is Aaron Rodgers, who has 5 games in frigid conditions. Now, with that being said, the stats are not great. And this is what we see for a lot of quarterbacks who have played in these games. His QBR is down around 10 points. In 5 games, he has 6 TDs and 3 interceptions. So you're talking about around
what is his career average, game.
This is his entire season or entire career.
Yeah, okay. I meant the career average of TD to interception ratio there.
Well, over his career, he's had 5 games and he's thrown 6 TDs in those games. His completion percentage is down a few points. And the other thing is sometimes you count on Aaron Rodgers for a rushing baseline, and that comes down significantly during frigid games. It seems like he'd rather throw the ball away or just, get the ball downfield. He doesn't rush the ball. The attempts are lower and the yards per carry are lower in those games. So
with Trubisky playing better, with Rodgers a little questionable.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a relatively close game, kind of like the first matchup, but it's a little bit of a struggle. If I were to go out on this, I would say, Chicago, it also seems that Green Bay lately has been going to what is the defense's weakness. We saw that when they played Carolina in inclement weather, they went with the run because they knew Carolina was bad with the run. With the Giants, they went with the pass because they know that was their hugest weakness. Chicago's relatively good in both departments. They're a little bit worse in the pass. Chicago's passes defense is ranked number 13, giving up around 230 yards, and that's gone up as of late. So, maybe they look to throw the ball a little bit and get that point total up. My guess is around 240 to 260 yards for Aaron Rodgers with 2 TDs. That would be my guess on his performance. But there's a lot to consider here.
I'm wondering, Vegas is not dumb. They understand there's weather going on. And I wonder with that low over under of 40.5, which is the third lowest of the game, I wonder if they're looking at the weather and making that assumption.
I also think you kind of have to put in the legacy of these two teams when they play each other.
Yeah.
I mean, there is
it's a divisional matchup.
And it's also Packers-Bears.
Yeah, and you know what?
I mean,
Bears are fighting for a playoff spot right now. So usually with these really strong divisional matchups where it's a high-stakes game, we usually see these go on the side of lower point totals. In that, with the frigid conditions,
right?
With the Bears defense,
you got to assume it's a factor. The weather's right. Caesar Sportsbook's got to assume.
Yeah,
and we do. I mean, again, that the sample size is not, the number of data points we have is not super significant, but it's enough to say like, hey, it looks like, he doesn't perform. It definitely doesn't look like he performs above average in these conditions. It's maybe average to below.
So if Caesar Sportsbook is listening and they don't, but they want information, we are more than happy to sit down and draw up a business relationship with them.
So with Trubisky being the quarterback number 6 over the past 4 weeks, and honestly, I'm not buying into Green Bay's defense as a solid unit. They've gotten lucky with their matchup. I'm going to make the bold call here, guys, and say I think Chicago wins this game.
But do you take
Chicago
the under?
Chicago wins? You just said Chicago has the bad defense.
No. Chicago has the good defense. I said.
Oh, I thought you said Chicago has the questionable defense. You said Green Bay has the questionable.
Green Bay has the questionable defense. If I misstated that, I apologize for that. I think I'm taking the over on this, and I'm saying the Bears are going to win.
Okay, bold call. And that's why we have the unknown. There seems to be a lot of factors. It's the defenses. It's the frigid conditions. It's the divisional matchup. It's how they played before game 1 of the season. There's been a lot that's changed, but there's a lot of question marks here. But I think, quite honestly, if I were to go with my gut, I would say the under. But I just think giving the culmination of it being how these teams have played themselves lately, which has been lower scoring games, frigid conditions, which Aaron Rodgers has not proven to be a real great commodity in. Trubisky not used to playing in these conditions. It's a really strong divisional matchup for a playoff spot. I think it's going to be low, but that's me.
I'm really excited to see how this game turns out for us and for the fantasy football weather guys, like to actually get some data to try to correlate after this to see what was the impact of the frigid, to help us next season as we build this platform and we build our name and our statistical database we're working on. So I'm excited from a data junkie point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one thing that we want to do because it's not just one variable when you go to a game, right? We're looking at weather, but we also need to consider, hey, who are they playing? They're playing the Chicago Bears, a better defensive team. How have they fared against each other in the past? So there's a lot of data points that kind of intersect here. That this is part of our statistical model that we're trying to bring to life here, and just to kind of show you the complexity of, the questions we're trying to answer.
So, last game, are we done here? Are we going?
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Yep.
So it's a non-impact, but